It's a fascinating ship, and they're very proud of them. And this was one of the smaller ones. They did say that they do have larger class ships. I asked them if they had a standard look to their ships. In other words, is it a saucer shape? Is it a triangle? What, to give us a frame of reference. And they say, well, we build them all, right? But what they prefer are more the disc shapes, because then they say that they're more maneuverable. That's sort of what I took away from that. And it is a fascinating system. They did show me where they were growing one on a wireframe. We look at things that are growing here, and it takes time, right?
Here you're saying 10 days.
And 10 days, and the size of this thing, I mean, it's just so rapid.
And how do they get the consciousness infused into it?
So they said that's during day 5. There is some type of liquid that is added to the system, and that's the consciousness. And then from that point on, it builds the circulatory system, the respiratory system. And it's all internal to the ship itself. So in other words, when I was inside, I didn't see any of that. I mean, it looked like you walked into a room, and our effect of what we think a ship would look like. But it is very much this organic ship. And the ship I found was personable, which is interesting. I was expecting, when he told me that it talked to, I was expecting it to be very robotic, or, our thought. I mean, I have an Alexa. She's kind of a smart aleck, but I can, talk to her. But it has to be specific questions, otherwise she doesn't answer it well. But this is just different. It's very personal. It would just be like you and I talking. And it gave its opinion, whether it was solicited or not. And I thought that was interesting. It did have a personality. And Zeron had said that because they're bred for their ship, they know that ship intimately, that it does interface with them in a way in which it's a very personal relationship. And I thought that was interesting.
When I was in the projects, we were always taking samples of not just the beings, but of the craft, because the DNA was matching. With this craft you're talking about, how does the sentient being, the AI being, the conscious being, and the pilots, all connect on what level and how?
Sure. Well, like I said, they said to me that they were bred for that ship, which means that they share DNA.
Absolutely.
It would be just like when we have a child, right? It's part of our DNA. We have that natural affection for them. We have a natural relationship that we develop with them, right? And that ship has that with these, 2 Andromedans. And Catane had told me that when the meteor had hit the ship and created a gash, and he said, we all felt the pain. And I thought, wow, to be that close to something, to be able to feel that type of pain. And he said, we compassioned together. And I thought that's an interesting way to use that word. But the ship, like I say, it's an AI, and I'm not even sure how that happens. I mean, I can't even envision a liquid AI. I have no idea what that even looks like. My mind could go and say, I see the possibility for that. But to have that into the ship, and for them to be bred in the same DNA for that ship is such a huge concept. And
highly advanced, definitely.
Right.
Some science we don't know yet.
Indeed. I'm excited for when we do.
So why a bioship rather than a regular mechanical craft?
Well, so if you talk to them about their history, they do relate, in their past they were in a lot of different wars. Lyran Wars, Orion Wars, different things like that. They had craft that was more different nature, in which different metallic alloys were used. And they found that they get damaged, and then they got to go back and be repaired. And that took time out of what they were trying to do. And so they found that the organic ships, because they can heal themselves, are much more effective. They also found that the response time, when you rely on, while they're very efficient at what they do, there's still a response time between the ship and what they're trying to do. And they felt that, if you're put into that type of situation, that response time is all the difference. So they began to make a transition to something that they felt was more effective.